don't you introduce our next guests?
Absolutely. We are here to University. They're going to talk to us about what they're doing in processing transcripts using AI and the CollegeVine tool. So welcome, Chris and
You
Andrew.
froze a little bit there, Carol, but San Jose State University. So welcome, Chris and Andrew.
Yeah, true Spartans.
Sorry.
Thank you. Actually, that was a delay on my side. Okay. Anyways, I wanted to start this out and I'll give it, we'll talk about a few things related to enrollment management and our agents and so forth. But first off, I'm honored to be here today with Andrew Wright. Andrew is our Senior Associate VP for Enrollment Management. And Andrew has a reputation as a huge innovator in enrollment management, not just within the CSU, but throughout the nation. He really does push the bounds on technology and how it can be used effectively to help our students and our operations in enrollment management. So Andrew, I'm going to turn it over to you and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. I think we can see it. We'll go ahead and jump right in. So thank you, Chris, for the introduction. Hopefully this lives up to that hype. But as Chris said, my name is Andrew Wright, and I'm the Senior AVP for Enrollment Management here at San Jose State. I've been in the CSU for about 20 years. Everything from outreach all the way through registrar's offices within my purview. So today we're going to be talking about the AI recruiter and the AI transcript evaluation. And really just to jump right in, why this tool? So what we needed to do is we needed to identify in particular where AI could make an impact. At San Jose State, I'm sure as you've heard, we're AI first. AI is everywhere. This is a presidential initiative and one that we in enrollment are embracing wholeheartedly. We have way too much work to do and not enough people to do it. So this is really where we're going with AI and making our lives easier and working smarter, not harder. So one of the things we needed to figure out is where could we use this tool? And we were already using a few tools with AI, obviously the basic chat GPTs and so on, but we're also using other tools that are auto building transcript, extraction tools for OCR, those types of things, but we needed to improve the evaluation process. That is very measured, that is very required, and there is a lot of executive order, assembly bills, education codes surrounding the compliance with the evaluation of files, which takes quite a bit of people power to get done. So essentially, knowing that this was a major gap, and I've seen this gap at all campuses that I've worked at, Cal State Fullerton, my alma mater, but also Cal Poly Pomona and Cal State Long Beach, is looking at the first year review process, which for those students, that's a high volume of students, heavily manual, and we really needed a tool that could capture not just the EDI data in a sense, but also review it, calculate it, manipulate it as needed, and then go through the final audit process. So, and looking at all the vendors that were out there, knowing the requirements of I need to be able to take this document that I'm getting that's coming in many formats for high school transcripts and then put it into a standardized format to extract the data without having to build a ton of processes behind the scenes and then use that for the final audit procedure. We naturally landed with CollegeVine because not only does it do the extraction from the transcript, but it also allows us to export it, import it, and then use PeopleSoft data. So what I'd like to do is kind of jump in a little bit and show you the tool in a sense, rather than just talking about it. And so the first part is really the AI recruiter piece, because it is two. There's the AI recruitment function, and then there is the transcript function. So I'll start with the AI recruiter function first. So recruitment at every campus is paramount, and we need to be responsive. If you go back in public in the private sector, when a student submits an inquiry, they usually get a response within 24 hours. That's not been the CSU way in many ways. And so we needed a way to be able to connect with our students much faster, get them the information they need on their terms, and that's often not in the 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So what we essentially are doing with the AI recruiter is when a student submits an RFI form, so the request for information, they come back with, my name is Bill, I'm interested in this program, basic information. We then feed it into the AI recruiter who meets them where they are. And by that, I mean, it texts them, it emails them, it has a chat with them, and it also has actual phone conversations with them based on how we've trained the tool. All of this is automatic and all of this is 24/7. So at any given time, once it's had a conversation with the student, it transcribes the entire conversation, and then it builds custom recruitment materials based on that student's conversation. So whether it's a text, an email, whatever it may be, and if a student doesn't want to be met in a certain space of, hey, I don't want to have a phone conversation, they don't have to. They can just message via text or they can message via email. However they want to be met, that's what this tool does. So what you're seeing here is after the first phone call where that recruiter had, we already received the RFI form, it already had a phone conversation. It then follows up with a transcript, which is attached to that student's file, which lives in Slate. And it's every student has their own space within Slate, but it keeps a history and it helps us understand more about the student. So here you'll be able to read it. They're nervous about applying. They've got 90 units from 3 community colleges, program info. So we get a nice concise summary of this student so that if it's escalated to a conversation or even via email, it's building that history with the student.
Yeah,
So-
and one quick thing, even if you're not using Slate as your CRM or your Salesforce, they have the connectors built already at CollegeVine. Also, one of the key pieces for CollegeVine is that they're solely focused on higher ed.
Yes.
And that was one of the attracting features for Andrew and I. This company gets it. So go ahead, Andrew.
Sure. No, to your point, Chris, they really do. And having conversations, the actual president came and met with us on a regular basis over a year-long process. And he was very engaged and said, I want to work with you. You all are in that pocket of meeting students and we want to work with you. So it was really exciting to have that engagement. So I'm not going to play this all for you, but it will be included in the recording. This is an actual recording that we use to test the tool, and I'll just play a 30 seconds for you.
Yeah, that's right. This call may be recorded. How can I help you today with SJSU Online?
Hey there, Sammy. I don't know if you remember me, but you and I chatted a couple of weeks ago about the business program.
Yeah, I remember you've been looking at the online business administration program and juggling a busy schedule. What's going on today? Like, are you looking for help with your application, or did a new question come up about the program?
Well, a new question came up.
Got it. A new question came up. What's on your mind about the business program?
So the conversation continues, and again, I didn't want to play it longer, but as you can see, it's kind of a natural rhythm in the conversation. I had issues when I first saw it that, is this a person or is this actually an AI recruiter? What is this? And so it is a natural flowing conversation. And like I said, it does keep that history. So it keeps the transcript of the entire conversation. It tracks what was it tracks the actual time, how long were they on the phone for, the actual level of engagement, and all of this lives within the CRM. Again, we use Slate, but they work with multiple other CRMs. And then after that, then it sends a follow-up communication. All of this is automated, saying it was great to follow up with you. If you have more questions, I've now sent a note over to an actual recruiter because you said you were interested in having a conversation. And then it lays out some next steps specifically for them. We named the recruiter Sammy because Sammy Spartan is our mascot. but again, you can make it at any time, and it does leave a note that, hey, this is AI. We did want to make sure to note that, yes, you are talking to an AI recruiter, you're not actually talking to a person, but at any given time in that conversation, if they say, I need to talk to somebody, it escalates it to somebody to actually have the conversation. So moving on to the transcript processing, which is really where we're seeing a lot of benefits with, or we're going to be seeing a lot of benefits with the actual function of the transcript evaluation. So what you're seeing here is actually the flow of transcripts. And I'll walk through the actual timeline here next. But essentially, when we get a transcript from a student, it flows in and it all lands in OnBase, which is our document repository. Once it's in OnBase, it then flows saying the checklist is now complete, you're good to go, ready for the final audit. So what we needed to do was insert this flow into that. So once the transcript hits OnBase, we see that the file is complete. It then flows in from OnBase out through the server, and it actually goes through the CollegeVine function, which reads the transcript, extracts the courses. I'll talk about exactly what it's doing in a minute, calculates the GPA, and then from there, all of the outputs are stored in OnBase. They're stored in CollegeVine, and then it's stored in our Slate so that we have that information also attached to the one student record. And then from there, it flows directly back into PeopleSoft. From the PeopleSoft function, it's then updating all of the fields that are required for the final audit. And then from there, we are evaluating whether or not that student actually has to be reviewed. So let's take it through the full timeline. So in December through February we make admission decisions from Cal State Apply based on self-reported information. At that point, we have made the decision. Students are going through the process of onboarding and what have you. They have to accept their offer of admission by May 1, and then we receive an official final transcript. Knowing the transcript deadline is July 15th, that is a very tight timeline. We've already onboarded probably several thousand first-year students, and we have a race to get all final audits completed before the August 1 timeline in order to ensure every student is fully compliant, placed, and set and ready to go for classes to start in August. So there's a really tight timeline there. What I just showed you is this little box right here in the middle where the AI transcript review is extracting the A through G. It's extracting the A through G and calculating the A through G GPA, the math GPA, the high school grad date to make sure that it is in fact a final transcript, the senior year experience, which is usually that additional level of math or additional level of English, like the ERWC or something to that effect, and then how many terms of math that the student took, and so on along the lines of the A through G GPA. And then the college course flag. So if a student took a college course to satisfy one of the A through Gs, that was another point that we wanted to bring out so that we can then ask for the official final college transcript. So from there, it then exports into PeopleSoft, where we are then updating the maintain applications page with A through G, the fields page there, and the external education page, as well as the placement values. So during the final audit, like I mentioned, one of the main pieces here is to make sure that we have all of the compliant points met, A through G, math GPA, and so on. Verify the high school GPA, verify the senior year experience, and so on. So all of those pieces are being extracted from the transcript and imported into PeopleSoft, automating the entire final audit. Keeping in mind, the average final audit takes a processor or evaluator, depending on your campus, approximately 30 minutes per student. So if I'm bringing in 5,000 students, it's 30 minutes per student. You can do the math, 2,500 hours. Some of them take a lot longer if they go to multiple institutions, and some of them are super fast because that evaluator's been here for 10 years and they just know that school inside and out. But the average is about 30 minutes. So from there, we then run MFAS. So what happens is when the student was admitted at step 1, we've run an MFAS score, the multi-factor admission score, and then we run a second MFAS. Then we determine if that student's eligibility has risen, remained the same, or has fallen below what that original score was. If it has fallen below that original score, or there is any deficiency, they are automatically flagged for a manual review. there may have been something that was missed, some validation, something that was in there that was missed, and we need a human to go in and take a look. If not, and everything was clear, everything was good, all the GPAs checked out, all eligibility is confirmed, we clear the file and we set it aside until we get to the final step, which is the quality assurance, which comes out via queries, reports, and so on, and random sampling. What this will result in is 75% of all of those final audits will no longer have to be touched by a person, except for the quality assurance. Again, the vast majority of students report accurately. The vast majority of students are fully eligible, but there are a lot of compliance points that we have to complete because of ed code and all of that that I mentioned earlier. This will reduce approximately 75% of all final audits that will have to be done, saving a ton of time when it comes to the final audit for first-year students. Now, this is really just the first pass. Once we're finished with this, we're going to be moving on to our transfer population, and it's going to be very similar, but transfers, as most folks know, are much more complicated because of the transfer rules. So when we're getting to that stage, it will be more complicated, but we really wanted to start in a place where we do not have nearly any automation when it comes to the transcripts. So this is where the value is really realized. So the agent, the impact, the experience for students, based on analytical data, 85% of all of the conversations that happen with the AI agent come to a conclusion and the student walks away happy. 15% of those conversations do result in an escalation to a physical person who wants to have a conversation with that student, right? So if I have 100 students who we've reached out to and had the conversation, 85 of them will walk away happy, many of which hopefully will apply to the university, but the 15% do escalate over, so 15 conversations with a recruiter who is ready and standing by when we are ready to go with all of the RFI. The next question here is, how has the agent been received? Open arms. Like I said, we have way too much work to do and not enough people to do it. And what this is doing is it's essentially expanding our ability to reach into spaces where we may or may not have had the ability to touch base with, right? So if I think about our international students, the program speaks multiple languages. It can reach out at 2 a.m. It doesn't matter what time, so we can use it in that space. It can calculate international GPAs, right? It has multiple functions to do all of the different GPA types and still extract the same data that's needed. But our team is really excited about using this because it's really about human-centered AI. Now our team can focus on that 15%. It can focus on the ones that need more support to get through the process. And if you think about the students that we serve, those are the students who we really should be spending our time on, not the ones who are like, yep, I know I'm going to go to college and my parents are here to help to support me. I just have a few questions about X, Y, and Z. That's really why the team is excited about it. So we've been embracing it wholeheartedly. And then for the business impact, long term, we will be able to reallocate those positions to help support other functions. As I said, too much work, not enough people to do it. And so long term, we do see that there will be there will be a lot of benefits here in allowing folks to focus on other activities within the office with the 75% reduction of the final audits. That doesn't get rid of the initial reviews, that doesn't get rid of the quality assurance, and it allows us to really focus on things like transfer credit, which, to be honest, that is a major challenge at a lot of campuses, and we need to reallocate staff to really focus in on that.
Yeah, and what's so nice about this, Andrew, is you did keep human in the loop still there. I mean, it does involve professionals in stages that are optimized. One other thing in the testing phase, which was so impressive with CollegeVine, was the analysis done through their LLM on foreign transcripts. I never realized how complex international transcripts are, but they are not simple to deduce and understand. And yet the application was able to do that. I think we also have a whole bunch of questions in the chat. So maybe our Q&A.
Okay, so a couple questions.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh, the comment on how can I help you? So the thing is that you train it to respond however you want. So what we found with our so far with our recruiter, that kind of language didn't seem to be an issue, but you can train it to respond or how to communicate in any way in which you wish. So if you wanted to have a softer tone, you want it to be funny, you want it to be, it really does have a personality, and you are in control of that personality, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, in the Q&A, there's an interesting question. I don't know the answer to this, but if there's confidential information that's shared during a call with Sammy, like SSN, is that redacted from the transcript or email?
You know, that's interesting, because one of the things I didn't mention is we are going live with 2 types of recruiters. The first one is, hey, are you interested in the program? You've expressed this. What questions can I ask you? The second version is is based on the FAFSA, is based California Dream Act, and in that case, yes, it will be redacted. So that's one of the pieces that we do not want to store in this, and nor would we ever ask for that. So the training is, save that for the FAFSA. We don't need that right now. What questions do you have? Let me help you get to the right place.
Yeah. Here's another one that's interesting. Are there any bias that you've encountered during this first phase, and how was it resolved?
So initially, when you're first starting to train it, it is a long runway, right? Because you really want to train it accurately. You can't just take your catalog and upload it and say, great, we're done. There's a lot of nuance to this. And so certainly we encountered some of that bias of, not trying to make it too competitive, in the sense, no, you don't want to go to that campus, you want to come to us. Or looking at the different type of student as you're having a conversation, it's not treating them any differently, right? So what I would say is, it's part of the training process to make sure that when you are having the conversation with the tool and adjusting it, that you build the personality that you feel is going to be representative of your brand.
Mhm.
And then the next
And
question is, how fast does it take to be transferred to a live person? It immediately pushes it into a queue, and that queue has people sitting in it waiting to talk to them. With our SJSU Online team, which is, it's kind of a subset, it's our self-support programs. Those folks are here Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on the phone. And they have all been given groups of leads and so on that they're working. So it just pops right into their queue, and it ends up being picked up right away.
Yeah. Also, since we only have a few minutes left, if there are any other CSUs that are interested in the CollegeVine solution, we're happy to set up quick demos outside, beyond this. I can arrange for that with Andrew to make sure that people can see this in action if you want a detailed demo. And then finally, one other thing Enrollment Management's doing at San Jose State is we have been building a fraudulent records agent that is in UAT right now that looks really solid, and we're happy to share it with the other CSU institutions. Should be finished in the next week or so. So I'll go back to Felix and Carol.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Andrew. We really do appreciate you sharing out what you've been doing. Sounds really exciting. And again, thank you for offering to share that with the rest of the CSU, right? And I think that's what we're about. Systemness and collaboration and helping each other out. So thank you once again.